The high fantasy tavern is typically a place of wary respite for adventurers between blood-soaked dungeons. But in the calculated, humour-infused hands of jolly Jupiter, the tavern is an industrial laboratory of fermentation, complex supply chain logistics, and the persistent nagging reality that magical beer is much more like a volatile reality-warping experiment than a simple drink. Nothing But Brew Skies is the latest brilliantly frantic movement in the Beers and Beard saga, a visceral, deeply intense plunge into the chaotic mechanics of magical brewing, the perilous collision between a visionary, perpetually stressed master brewer and a local economy that keeps trying to collapse, and the terrifying truth that when you attempt to master the perfect pint, the biggest hurdle isn't the yeast. It's the sheer, unpredictable incompetence of the adventuring guilds you serve. Jupiter hooks the audience instantly by constructing a high-stakes, hyper-focused trap. An aspiring brewer, constantly pushed to the brink of their intellectual and physical limits, must solve a series of increasingly lethal supply-side glitches that threaten to delete their legendary tavern from the map. The narrative centre zeroes in on the protagonist's calculated descent into the Brew Skies phenomenon, a localised, magically charged climate that accelerates the fermentation of any magical batch, but also attracts the attention of every monster, guild representative, and reality glitch in the region. As they traverse the cluttered, experiment-heavy cellar and the high-tension bureaucratic landscapes of the local trade alliance, they realise that their aspiration for the perfect brew is actually the primary trigger for a systemic market reset protocol. The investigation into the origin of these economic glitches quickly escalates into a dangerous, high-stakes tactical chess match as they discover that the tavern's magical infrastructure is being held together by nothing more than a series of brittle, outdated, and fundamentally flawed cooling runes. Forced to juggle the logistical nightmare of maintaining a stable fermentation schedule, the constant suffocating threat of reality-warping magical blowback, and the mounting undeniable encounter with the cost of their own growing legendary status, they must synthesize a new way of existing, one built on tactical observation, improvised brewing engineering, and an unyielding, purely human refusal to let their hard work be undone by the universe's inherent chaotic hostility. Jupiter's writing style is unapologetically observational, machine-gun fast, and saturated with an intense, authentic blend of brewing technical jargon, dry, cynical academic humour, and high-stakes environmental dread. He builds exceptional structural tension by pairing the mundane, aching routines of discovery, recalibrating stabilizing runes, documenting catastrophic batch failures, and enduring the quiet, crushing weight of isolation, with the chaotic, nightmare-filled assaults of the local, magic-fueled weather. The story moves forward with a relentless momentum-driven energy, turning routine analytical probes, calculated maneuvers through the tavern supply sprawl, and tense, high-stakes standoffs with lethal, magically augmented guild inspectors into pulse-pounding steps closer to an inevitable, reality-defining confrontation. The presentation thrives on this sharp, analytical focus, making every discovered anomaly, every executed recipe stabilization maneuver, and every deep-seated fear confronted feel like a high-stakes victory for the human spirit. What makes Nothing But Brew Skies an exceptional entry in the cozy progression fantasy canon is Jupiter's unparalleled ability to develop a highly compelling, logic-driven protagonist whose scientific discipline is treated as a supreme navigational asset rather than a tragic fading memory. Watch as they transform their experience with failed fermentations into a compass, learning to navigate the chaotic tavern life to outmaneuver an economic entity that operates with absolute, terrifying precision. As the structural walls of their reality begin to collapse and the true scope of the Brew Skies danger is exposed, the pacing transforms into a breathless, heart-pounding race to maintain the shred of truth they carry before their consciousness is permanently unstitched by the brewing magic's relentless physics-enforcing machinery. The final act is an absolute masterclass in suspense, delivering a barrage of explosive realizations, shattered paradigms, and a spectacular jaw-dropping climax that completely leaves the reader thoroughly stunned. For fans of thrillers demanding a brilliant, character-driven, and masterfully paced exploration of magic and supply chain logistics, this book delivers an unforgettable shockwave.